So let's get into it. SNAP benefits are for roughly 600,000 Kentuckians are still in limbo this morning. Earlier in the week, the Trump administration said it would pay about half of November's benefits after a Halloween ruling that said the administration has to continue funding the nutrition program. Governor Andy Beshear said those payments would begin processing this week. However, the time to process those payments could still take some time. As of Friday, the Trump administration said it was appealing a Thursday ruling. The administration has to pay all of November's benefits.
Let me be clear. The president has both the funding and the authority to fund SNAP during a shutdown. In fact, every other president in every other shutdown has done so. People going hungry in this instance is a choice that this president has made.
It's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation.
Governor Andy Beshear signed an executive order last week directing $5 million from the state's rainy day fund to support food banks, and said this week the National Guard would help shore up staffing at food banks across the Commonwealth. So, Senator Funke, Frommeyer, I want to start the conversation with you here. Is there a legal case that you see now for not funding SNAP when courts have said the administration has to, and in past shutdowns it has been funded?
Well, fair question. My day job is a financial advisor. So I can't really chime in on all the legal details of that. But what we do recognize is the legislature gave the governor some authority over that rainy day fund. So his actions are something that I think are so important because we do know it's a safety net program. So I think that we'll continue to work together, and candidly, I'm very grateful for a lot of our food banks and a lot of the Christian communities as well that have really risen to serve this current need.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that are stepping up in this. Representative Aull, how do you see it?
I think this is a choice, unfortunately, that the administration at the federal level is actively making, choosing not to feed our neighbors in the most critical time of need. Every other presidential administration, both Democrat and Republican, have continued SNAP payments during times of shutdown. There's no reason for this president to be doing this, even more so when he's had two federal rulings to say you should go ahead and do this. It's an active choice that he's making, and it's punishing the most vulnerable in our societies. I am thankful that Governor Beshear stepped up and took $5 million out of the rainy day fund that's going to go to God's Food Bank and be spread throughout the Commonwealth, but that's just a stopgap, and that's not a 100% whole of the funding. So we need the administration to change course here and do what every other administration in the past has done and feed our neighbors.
You heard the Vice President use the word triage there. Is there a point to the Republican argument that trying to triage what gets funded and what doesn't is a less effective way of managing government spending rather than just trying to get through the shutdown or get on the other side of it?
I don't think it matters when people are hungry. It's not about political points. It's not about what we can do and the mechanics. It's if you have the ability and you have the capacity to do it, we should do it, period.
Do you have any thoughts there, Senator?
You know, I'm very troubled by this conflict in our federal government. No doubt about it. I'm very troubled. And one of the things that I continue to recognize, especially in Kentucky, is SNAP was designed to be a safety net program. And the most vulnerable need to be served and cared for. But when these safety net programs start to go too long beyond a hand up, and I think that's some of the federal fight that we're experiencing is the pressure around extending benefits that were meant to be just a very short-term stopgap kind of COVID day issue.
And you're referring to health care, right?
That's right. And that's some of the issue around you can't pass a clean resolution. That's the messiness. And that we aren't really dealing, you know, we joke about my chairmanship of the MAHA task force. We do care about making America healthy. But what we continue to recognize is we're not getting to the root cause of the issue. We need to get to the root of this problem. And SNAP isn't the root of the problem. perhaps an excessive use of benefits that aren't really only serving the most needy. They've become too much of a regular, just counting on it, maybe don't need it anymore. No, we have got to truly use government dollars, taxpayer dollars, for those critical needs and really tighten the reins a bit. And that's where our government is. 38 trillion in debt. Wow.
We got about a minute here. Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I would just say that the vast majority of people who receive SNAP are working people. Some of them have 1 and 2 jobs. The problem is, especially in certain parts of our community, the best job they can find is a minimum wage job. And these corporations are not paying livable wages, so these people, to be whole, to make it from day to day, are still eligible, even though they're working full time, to receive SNAP. So it's not about people not, living on the dole or whatever, wasteful spending. This is about people who are working, some military families in transition, farmers. There's a lot of people in our communities who qualify for SNAP who are actively working. They're just not making enough to get by because of their wage.
All right, Representative Aull, you get the final thought on